What are your thoughts on the Tea Party movement, and are there any Democrats who you think are part of it?
Well, yeah, first of all, I saw a survey the other day that said that the Tea Party, the people who identified with the Tea Party in America, grassroots people, if there was no Tea Party candidate on the ballot, 20% of them said they'd vote for Democrats. The grassroots Tea Party impulse is basically positive. What they're saying is America really doesn't work for ordinary people. And the people that caused the economic crisis, big banks, they're in good shape, and we're not. The government helps the big guys, doesn't help the little guys, and everybody that works for the government, they're in good shape. They at least have a job, they got health care, they can make their mortgage payment, and we're not. And we want an America that works for ordinary people again. And we want to correct the abuses of big business and big government. That's the purest impulse. That's a healthy thing, because America needs to reform a lot of its systems now. Now, the surveys, however, all the reports that have shown that the major financial backers of the Tea Party are basically wealthy people who are very far to the right, and they hope by making it a crusade against government, they can make the world free for their big companies to run American life and life beyond our borders. So I think that many of the things these Tea Party candidates have advocated would actually would have the reverse impact that they advocate.
Are the Democrats underestimating the Tea Party movement?
I don't know. I think it would be a mistake. I think what we should say is those Tea Partiers, 20% of them, by the way, say they'd vote for Democrats if there were no Tea Party candidates on the ballot. Those, in their purest form, the Tea Partiers are saying, I've been let down by big business and big government. I've been let down because the big banks were bailed out, but nobody helped me. And the government that bailed them out, they're doing fine. They all have a job, make their mortgage payments, have health care, send their kids to college. I want reform in both. But the funders of the Tea Party movement tend to be pretty far-right extremists who want, their goal is to destroy the power of government to mediate the power of corporations. And I don't really think that is a sustainable position. My advice for the Democrats is don't play games. Make this about the American people. Tell them what we need to do and what you would do about it, and ask them if they really think you're more likely to do it than your opponent. I think we should just play it straight.
As we've been talking a lot about lately, at a sort of meta-strategic level, Democrats decided this year that they did not want to run in this year's elections with a national campaign strategy. For whatever reason, as Republicans turned right at Sarah Palin, right again at Jim DeMint, right again at the ghost of Jesse Helms, and kept on scooting into Wrightville, Democrats decided there was not much to say about Democrats v. Republicans this year. For whatever reason, that's what they decided. But here's what it looks like when Democrats stray from that instruction. Here's what it looks like when Democrats decide there is something worth saying about Democrats v. Republicans this year. Here's what it looks like when Democrats do draw that contrast. When a Democratic candidate tries to hang the national Republican agenda on her individual Republican opponent. Here's what it looks like when a Democratic candidate commits politics. Watch this.
I'm Debbie Halverson, and I approve this message.
Politician Adam Kinzinger says Social Security benefits need to be capped.
It's like you're stealing the money out of my pocket.
I need my Social Security. I worked 52 years.
We've paid all these years.
And Adam Kinzinger supports plans to raise the retirement age.
How old do you have to be to retire?
It's not right.
Don't even think about it.
Adam.
You just don't get it.
Don't you dare.
Keep your hands off of my Social Security, Adam.
You're out of your tree.
You're a young guy, and you got a lot to learn, Adam.
That was an ad for Representative Debbie Halverson. She is running for re-election in Illinois' 11th Congressional District, a bit south of Chicago. Ms. Halverson has only been in her seat for one term, unseating a Republican in 2008. It was the same year that the district went for Obama by about 8 points, but it did go for Bush the previous 2 elections. This is thought of as a swing district. And who knows how this district is going to go on Election Day. But that ad, that's what it looks like when Democrats campaign in a hard-hitting, pull-no-punches, nail-them-to-the-wall way against the declared Republican agenda that Republicans really do not want to run on this year, but that smart Democrats will make them run on. if Democrats were trying to win the elections this year in every congressional district, in every Senate race, every gubernatorial race, every whatever Oriole election, some version of that ad could be run. The Republican Party has essentially, as a whole, embraced privatization of Social Security. It's in the Paul Ryan roadmap for House legislation. The would-be Republican Speaker of the House, John Boehner, pointedly not ruling out Social Security privatization. A ton of the top-of-the-ticket Republicans are running on it overtly. Our friend Rand Paul running for the Senate in Kentucky, Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania, John Racy in Florida, West Virginia, confusing, hard to tell where he lives, Rob Portman in Ohio, Roy Blunt in Missouri, Ron Johnson in Wisconsin, all running on privatizing Social Security. And this Debbie Halverson ad is what it looks like when Democrats are trying to win against that. And I will let you in on a little secret. You know what issue that Republicans, Republicans are even more vulnerable on than they are on Social Security? Abortion. I have to whisper the word because people get very nervous when you say the word abortion in an election year. But in a year when there is a huge gender gap in who is expected to vote and vote Republican, and Democrats can really only compete if Democratic women come out in November, you want to know where Republicans are most vulnerable on an oh my God, look at the Republican agenda ad? It's on the issue of abortion. The roster of Republicans who have adopted this once unelectable, now standard position of no abortion ever, not even in cases of rape or incest, it continues to grow. Nevada Republican candidate Sharon Engel, Delaware Republican candidate Christine O'Donnell, Alaska Republican candidate Joe Miller, Kentucky Republican candidate Rand Paul, Colorado Republican candidate Ken Buck goes there too. But even though Ken Buck is absolutely and proudly in favor of forcing women to bear their relatives and their rapists' babies, Ken Buck is distancing himself from another measure on the same issue on his state's ballot this November. Even Ken Buck thinks it's too extreme. It's a measure that would amend the Constitution of the state of Colorado to, I am not kidding, categorize fertilized human eggs as people. It's called Amendment 62. It would define a person with inalienable rights as every human being from the, quote, beginning of the biological development of that human being. They call it a personhood amendment. It gives a zygote the same rights as you and me. I don't know about driver's licenses, but it would not only make abortions illegal, it would also, according to one of the amendment's authors, Leslie Hanks, according to Leslie Hanks, it would make certain forms of the pill and other contraceptive devices illegal. She says, quote, many of the oral contraceptives have an action that makes the womb inhospitable to a developing embryo, and hence the new living, growing baby is prevented from residing where his or her creator intended until birth. So if you're on the pill, you're committing murder, according to these folks. And if you miscarry, that's what? Accidental manslaughter? Negligent homicide? I don't care that these folks call themselves conservatives. If this is limited government, I'm the Queen of England. This is really, 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 really big government. Republicans are running on a really extreme set of policy proposals, and they were absolutely geeked to talk about them during the primaries. This is what they were running on. In the general election, though, they will have to answer to everybody in the electorate, to conservatives, yes, but also to independents and liberals and everyone. If Democrats force Republicans to explain themselves to everybody, not just to a Republican audience, we will have evidence that Democrats are actually trying to win this year. If Democrats don't do that, not only do we end up with people holding those really extreme positions in office, but we will sit wondering why Democrats didn't try as hard or as well as, say, Debbie Halverson did this year.
Well, former President Bill Clinton hitting the campaign trail a bit over the weekend, crisscrossing the Northeast, really, something for Democrats in 3 states. Look at this.
And, of course, they got the Wrestling Federation lady in Connecticut and the witchcraft lady in Delaware, and I tell you, so far they've gathered up about everybody for this Tea Party but the Mad Hatter, and Alice in Wonderland will give it to them, I think.
You know, I've been involved in politics and public life in one way or another for 4 decades, and during those 40 years, our country has voted 10 times for president. Democrats won only 3 of those times. And the man who won 2 of those elections is with us today. Tremendous progress during the 90s under a Democratic president, with a flourishing economy and our leadership for peace and security respected around the world. Just think how much more progress we could have made over the past 40 years if we'd had a Democratic president. Think about the lost opportunities of these past 7 years on the environment and the economy, on health care and civil rights, on education, foreign policy, and the Supreme Court. Imagine how far we could have come, how much we could have achieved if we had just had a Democrat in the White House. We cannot let this moment slip away. We have come too far and accomplished too much. Now the journey ahead will not be easy. Some will say we can't do it, that it's too hard, we're just not up to the task. But for as long as America has existed, it has been the American way to reject can't-do claims and to choose instead to stretch the boundaries of the possible through hard work, determination, and a pioneering spirit. This election is a turning point election, and it is critical that we all understand what our choice really is. Will we go forward together, or will we stall and slip backwards?
The choices you make in politics are like the choices you make in life. You look at the facts as best you can, and you make the best available choice.